again. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Some of the disciples were speaking of how the temple was adorned with precious stones and votive offerings. Jesus said, "You see all these things, the day will come when one stone is not left on another, everything will be torn down." They asked, "When will this happen, Rabbi? And what will be the sign that it's about to happen?" Jesus said, "Take care not to be misled. Many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the one,' and the time is at hand. Do not follow them. And do not be perturbed when you hear of wars and insurrections. These things must happen first, but the end does not immediately follow." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and empire against empire. There will be great earthquakes and plagues and famines in various places, and the sky will be frightening omens and great signs. But before any of this, they will arrest you and persecute you, bringing you to trial before synagogues and sending you to prison, bringing you to trial before rulers and governors. And it will all be because of my name. This will be your opportunity to give your testimony. So make up your minds and do not worry about your defense beforehand, for I will give you the words and a wisdom that none of your adversaries can take exception to or contradict. You will be betrayed even by your parents and brothers and sisters and relatives and friends, and some of you will be put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me. Yet not a hair of your head will be harmed. By patient endurance, you will save your lives." My friends, the good news of salvation. Glory and praise to our Savior, Jesus Christ. I invite you to be seated. Thanks for doing the word with me. I think it's a neat way to kind of like tie in this whole thing together. I wish we would do that more. There was a really awesome movie in 2007. I don't watch a lot of TV, but it was a pretty awesome movie, and I even had to have Kathy remind me. I knew what it said, but I couldn't remember the name of it. It's called The Bridge to Terabithia, made in 2007, right? Bridge to Terabithia, don't know if you've ever had a chance to see it. If not, you might want to Netflix it or something. I don't know what you can do. Amazon or something, whatever. It has two primary characters, this little girl named Leslie and her friend Jessie, and they create this kind of make-believe land, and they call it Terabithia. It's this kingdom out in this swamp, right? They literally live next to a swamp, and they have this tree, and they create this. At this one point, Jesse's family is rather religious, and they go to church every Sunday, and Leslie's family is not particularly religious at all, but he invites Jesse to come with her. Now, they're both about 9 or 10, would you think that, Kath? Maybe 9, 10, something like that. They go to church together, and they're riding in the back of the pickup on the way back, and Jesse says to Leslie, "So, what'd you think?" And she says, "Well, I don't think that God goes around damning people to hell." And Jesse says, "Well, why not?" And she says, "Because he's too busy running all of this." There's a point to that. And I think a quite important point even from that movie. Often I've been asked, like, what do you believe, or what's your position, what's your understanding of the end of times? And I have to say there are many valid positions. I can say that because I'm fully aware that my understanding, my viewpoint, is only one of really a ton of many. And each of us, I do believe each of us, have to find our own belief. We have to understand and believe what we feel that we have to believe in order to make sense of the things and the events and the experiences that we've had in our lives. If you were to ask me today, do I believe that you and I are living in the apocalypse? I would say, unequivocally, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And And that is, if you and I would even understand the word apocalypse in the same way, right? That presumes a whole lot of understanding on your part and on mine. The Greek word apocalypse is actually apokalypsis, loupsis meaning facet in Greek. It means a facet, a bunch of facets. So, and what its literal interpretation means is a revealing of what was once hidden. So, you get the facet idea, like cutting stones. Lupus. That's what people who cut diamonds and facets on. That's what they're called. And so, if you understand that, think of the statue of David, right? Michelangelo got this big chunk of rock and it had a big fault line through it, and nobody wanted to work on it because nobody thought that anything could be done with that. And yet he saw in that rock, right? He saw in that rock this beautiful creation, which he brought out of that same rock, right? So it's a revealing of what was once hidden. And I actually believe that you and I, as human beings right now, we are actually in our own time of coming to a greater knowledge and understandings of ourselves and of our universe, and are truly living, I think, at least myopic bits and pieces of coming to understand what was once hidden. You know, little bits and pieces, not big picture, but little bits. You see, I believe that science and faith, they can't be contradictory, because there's a principle in theology and a principle in science that says this: truth cannot be contradictory. If it is, one is false and the other is true. Truth can never be contradictory to itself, right? So if truth is never contradictory, then we have much to learn from each other, not in opposition to each other. Hence, I pointed to that second page of your worship aid. If you want to, I know you can't do it online, but if you could, go back to that second page and look at that. Look at that. You'll see what you see is a picture from the James Webb Telescope of the Eagle Nebula. It's called the Eagle Nebula in the Serpens constellation, which is actually 6,500 to 7,000 light years away. 65, and it's being formed. That little thing is 7,000 light years from this little rock we call Earth, right? In an entire different galaxy, in an entire different constellation within that galaxy. And it's so far back that scientists have given it a name. They call it the Pillars of Creation. Because when the Webb telescope saw that, or spotted it, and they measured the amount of time that the Earth is old, and the distance would, if you look back and you think of Einstein's theory of relativity, that's the point at which this was created. So true to our scriptures, out of nothingness, out of just pure nothingness, gas, creation began. So our scriptures are not wrong. We just say it in a different way, right? But out of the void, God made everything. And if there's anything else that could be said about that particular discovery, it could be this: that we're learning about those things that were once hidden. Do you realize that those pillars of creation were first seen in 1995 by the Hubble telescope? And when that happened, the Hubble telescope, scientists concluded a whole range of things about the creation of the universe. On October 19th of 2022, when the Webb telescope looked at that same nebula, that same time frame, that same picture, they found out that all the things they thought were just about wrong. So everything, not everything, but a lot of what they saw was wrong, and a lot of their theories were wrong. But one undisputable fact did remain the same, and that's this: that the rock that we truly live on, or that we live on, and that our scriptures say was created out of nothing, that still holds true, even with the Webb telescope. In fact, it's enhanced by it. What an awesome concept to realize that that was an enhancement of something our faith has stated forever. That out of nothing we were made. Out of nothing our world was created. You know, as human beings, we're kind of wired. We're wired to ask ourselves some real fundamental questions when it comes to life. Like, why are we here? Maybe you've asked yourself some of these. Why are we here? Who made us? Why were we created? Does this whole thing, life, mean anything? Does this thing that we call God really mean something? Or do we know it? What lays beyond this existence? Or does anything lay beyond this existence? And maybe the ultimate question of mystery, why? Why? Why all of this? St. Anselm in the 11th century said that we are a people whose fides quaerens intellectum, that we are a people whose faith constantly seeks understanding. Constantly seeks understanding. 11th century, he understood that that's what our job of our faith is, to constantly seek it. The beauty of our faith and the beauty of science lays in our willingness to probe those mysteries that lay at the edge of those questions. Both science and faith have something to contribute to us. Both science and faith have something to contribute to our traditions. Ollie, ollie. And I can say, after years of study and prayer and meditation, if either science or religion say that they have all the answers to those questions that we just read, if science or religion say they have the answers to those questions that point us to the edge of that mystery, they're either heretical or they're scientifically unsupportable. Because there are not answers to that mystery that we know. Right? There are not answers. That's not to say that those theories or those questions are not to be probed and mined for everything that we can learn. They should, and in fact, according to our faith, they must. Because the minute we stop probing, the minute we stop asking the question, is the minute we lose hope. Right? The minute we lose hope. We can probe those mysteries. We can ask those questions without fear because we can develop new theories. We can develop new understandings because we have a law in theology that says this, lex orandi, lex credendi. We pray what we believe. It is the law of what is prayed, is the law of what is believed. As long as we realize that everything you and I speak, everything we say about God, everything, all the theories of science, those are merely attempts at understanding the apocalypse. They're merely attempts. You see, I believe God never stops revealing God's self to us. Our fundamental task is to never stop reaching out and touching and presenting that mystery that probes and moves us forward into our future. The greatest challenge that you and I face, I'm absolutely convinced of this, the greatest challenge that you and I face is our willingness or our unwillingness to let go of those things which we previously held hereto with such sanctimonious certitude that new understandings could never possibly be born. I want to say that again. The greatest challenge that you and I face is the willingness or unwillingness to let go of the things that we previously held with such sanctimonious certitude that new understandings can never be given a chance at birth. That, my friends, would be a tragedy beyond measure. So, as Leslie and Jessie reminded us at the beginning of this homily in that bridge to Terabithia, I don't think that God goes around condemning people to hell. Why not? Because God's too busy running all of this. So, all I can say is this. My friends, welcome to the apocalypse. It's an exciting time of God's self-revelation.